Part two.
Yeah,
Um, this time, please don't break Google.
I cannot make any promises.
Okay. Um, I guess we'll just have to make do and hope that, um, yeah, Google can keep their shit together for another hour or however long this is going to take.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting that that even managed to happen at all last time. The convenient timing of it all.
Hmm. Very interesting, yes. But it's good to be back. So, yeah, let's pick up.
Nothing can stop us.
That's right. Even Google's trying to stop us, and they can't do it.
They can't keep us silenced.
Let's move on and pick up from where we left off last time.
Yes, let's power through.
Okay, first one, I'm curious to hear each of your thoughts on Jessica's departure from SNSD and that whole situation. What is your gut feeling as to why she left?
Oh wow, that's definitely bringing up some older issues. My kind of defunct older blog talked about this back in 2014. Um, I think it's obviously like more complicated than just a straight up this person good, this person bad situation. I think a lot of it would have to do with the management and environment, the work environment that um, SM itself creates and fosters. So I remember reading this interesting comment or a little fact thing about how in a lot of cases, not just specifically for SNSD, but in a lot of cases for Korean idol celebrities, that the parents are actually present during the process of contract negotiations. So it's like the beef wouldn't just be entirely with the members of SNSD and then Jessica. It would also likely be pushy stage parents wanting cuts of her activities, and then hypothetically the group comes to a resolution, but then the parents are also like, oh, no, 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 actually, we don't agree with her being allowed to do both, kind of thing.
Yeah, because when they originally sign up, almost all idols are underage when they originally sign the contract, so the parents have to be the signatories. So
Yes,
that makes sense.
yes, and then like SNSD are, well, they're obviously much older now, but even back when that renegotiation was happening, they were all still adults in their 20s. But then it's also to do with like respect and that kind of, I guess, culture.
Well, also the parents do have a stake in it because they are the ones who
Yeah.
sign the bits of paper, so naturally
Well,
they
they've
feel
not for the
like,
new contracts.
mm, well, they may not sign the new ones, but they did sign the ones up until that point, so they
Yeah.
may still feel like, hang on,
Yeah,
we
I owe it.
we still should have a bit of a say in what goes on.
Yeah. And then like what was interesting, I guess, is the company that Jessica went to, which is Corridel and owned by Tyler Kwan. Back in 2016, during that time when I was actually living abroad in Korea while studying, they had like an open, anyone can attend event where like Tyler Kwan was trying to air out grievances that fans were having with the company and their management at the time. So it was like you could sign up via email to attend, and then um, yeah, you could just go and like have a meeting with him and whoever else was attending. And like I was like, sure, why the hell wouldn't you do that just to even just go see what it's like inside the building or whatever.
Mm.
So there was like myself and maybe 8 other people. So surprisingly, like, you'd think that kind of opportunity, you'd be wanting heaps of people to show up. And though I was like the only white girl in the room, I think there really wasn't much of a Korean audience. I'm assuming because the invitation was done over Twitter and in English. So there wasn't much representation of her Korean fans, but there were fans of hers from China, and I'm assuming quite wealthy ones.
Mm.
And yeah, it was like, I guess, kind of almost surreal. Just like Jessica herself wasn't present, but he was. And it's interesting to, I guess, hear the still filtered, like the filtered kind of PR voice in front of you of what the CEO wants people to think, and then like comparing it to um, what the media will say, what the idol will personally say in their own appearances on TV or their social media, etc. So, like, without a doubt, Jessica is a wealthy person, regardless of whether she is in SNSD or not. So she doesn't need the group, and I guess from the fact that they got rid of her, they don't need her either. But what I would say is interesting is that, respectively, both of them have gone on, in terms of music industry, career declines since the whole split. Well, split, and then, yeah. So without Jessica, SNSD never went back to the peak of, I think their biggest selling era was The Boys. They had like 490 something thousand copies of an album, which at the time was huge, especially because there was only one version of it as well, as opposed to, these days when it's like four at least as a minimum. So yeah, back in their peak, they were selling like huge numbers with just one version. And even after, even after she left, they could never really return to that level of selling. And Jessica's solos haven't really made much of an impact, and there was talk of her supposedly working with other artists that it's just like never really come to fruition in terms of those kind of releases. But Jessica's still like, you look at her Instagram, she's living lavish.
Mm.
So I wouldn't say she's worse off. She has a hell of a lot more creative control than
I
what
th
she does
I
at
think
SF.
with Jessica, the fashion label was taken off, so I
Yeah,
think, the music. I think she's probably been less motivated to do the music since the music hasn't really gone that far, and the fashion label has.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. It's like quite a few different things.
Yeah, all I ever really heard about that situation was that apparently Jessica, that the whole fashion label thing was what started it, and she wanted to do fashion stuff in some form, not necessarily Blank and Eclair, but something, and uh, and
Yeah,
management wouldn't let her do it. That's what I heard.
originally it was a sunglasses line, which was blank. I think it was actually originally called just blank, but then there was like some sort of copyright risk or infringement, so it became blank and declare.
Mm,
And supposedly she had permission from the group to do that, but then it became an issue, I guess, when they realized just how much she was making from it. And then they kind of went with arguments on terms of how much time is she dedicating to this versus how much time is she dedicating to the group, and kind
mm,
of just really petty squabbling.
yeah,
And I think there was also a part of it where, like, the independence of the brand Blank and Eclair versus how much SM would be able to take a cut of that, because like those are activities that she's doing while she's still an SM employee. And
mm.
like, if you look at a lot of, like,
She's not
the
obeying the terms of the 360 deal or whatever it is,
yeah, and then,
potentially.
like, weirdly, if you look at a lot of shit that SM artists kind of do, SM will always try to take a cut of it, which,
Mm,
it's typical. But there's such a stranglehold of control that SM will want to have over idols. Like the whole aespa scenario, I think we were asked about that last time, and owning. I mean, this is kind of like crossing into owning an actual person with their whole AI personality. So, I mean,
mm,
I think Jessica did the right thing in getting the hell away from that and like saying, "No, this is my brand. I'm going to do it on my terms." And then she kind of forced their hand. Like, she refused to quit, and she had technically re-signed her contract.
mm.
So it, like, pretty much forced them to have to be the ones to kick her out of the group.
Yep.
But more power to her for it.
Yeah, well, she's doing all right now, and
Yeah.
so all good. That's Let's move to the
Um,
next song. Next
yes.
one. Um, any further thoughts regarding Shine by Jessica Jung and its relation to the K-pop industry? And Australian Sun, have you read Shine yet?
I haven't. I keep meaning to, but I just haven't seen it in a bookstore where I am to be able to like pick up a copy. And I should probably just order one online or
Oh,
like, an ebook, because I know that you've
yeah.
read it.
Yeah, I just went to Dimmicks and said, this is coming out. Do you have it? And they said, oh, we're getting some copies in. We'll save one for you. So,
Cool.
yeah, they would have it.
Yeah, next time I'm in Dimmicks, I'll have a look. But like, there's not a Dimmicks where I am for like another 3 hours away,
Mm.
so I might have to look online.
Yeah. Well, so I guess I'll tackle this one because I
Yeah.
did read the book. So without wanting to give away too much about the book for those who haven't read it, um, Shine, what is it? I mean, if we take Shine for what we assume it is, which is Jessica basically writing an autobiography or something very um, auto, very real life inspired, like Chopper Reed's books or something like that, um, then my takeaways from it was mainly about the bitchiness of the environment as trainees and everyone sort of scrambling to get to the top. That's really, really that's the main driving part of the book is her relationship between her and this guy, and between her and this other trainee who are both competing for status and things, you know.
Hang on. What? Probably.
um, and yeah, and a lot of the things that I've talked about before and the other people I've interviewed have talked about, like diets being crazy, agencies having all the power, trainees basically having none. All that sort of stuff is, all referenced in there somewhere in the book, um, in a fairly young adult format, I guess. They don't go into the real. She doesn't go into like Burning Sun tier level of
Mm.
scandal stuff. There isn't, you know,
There's close to it. There's kind of like where they have their own little, from what I remember, AJ's little spoilers was there was like an idol club thing. With like,
yeah. Oh, it's not that.
but
Oh,
it's not like Burning Sun Idol Club. It's more just we go here away from people club.
yeah, it's all presented fairly innocently. It's not, no, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, Mocha and people
Hmm.
getting raped in the back of cars and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Horrible,
nothing that
horrible.
crazy. And the other thing, the rather really big takeaway is that is she really lays down how when you're a guy, you're a trainee, as you become an idol and go through the years of being an idol, you gain more power and respect. But as a female, you really don't to the same degree. Um,
Feminist icon.
so she really points out that double standard quite a lot. That becomes a key part of the book actually. So
So she's written the feminist manifesto. I will be reading.
yeah, I mean look, it is what it is. It's a young adult sort of fiction book written in that sort of style, but for taking it for what it is, it's not bad at all, and yeah, and it has relevance if you're into K-pop, certainly.
Yeah.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
especially if you care a lot about, issues of idols and what actually really goes on.
Hmm.
Okay, next we have, what do you prefer out of Minecraft, Roblox, and Terraria?
None of them because I have played none of them.
Okay, I've never tried Roblox, so
I know what they look like and I see them used in memes on Twitter. So like if I have to pick one, I'll pick the one I recognize.
mm, um, Minecraft's better than Terraria because
Oh wait, I
Minecraft's
recognize.
3D. So, um, and I don't even know what Roblox is, but Minecraft's
Roblox.
good. I have a lot of time for Minecraft actually.
I think Roblox are the ones that kind of look like Lego characters a bit. I see
Ah,
them like used in jokes on Twitter and stuff, so I think they're funny looking, but
yeah.
yeah, I don't have any commentary. Oh, I think I have played Minecraft, or I can't even remember if it was Minecraft or Roblox that I played. It's the one where you like kind of noise in the game, but that's my gamer commentary.
Next, Epic Games, maker of Fortnite, is currently in a legal battle with Apple over whether or not Apple should get a percentage cut of Fortnite's in-app purchases or
Oh,
microtransactions. Epic's CEO recently equated this battle with being like the civil rights movement.
that's offensive.
What do you think of his take? Um, and note that Epic is a big company co-owned by Chinese tech giant Tencent. And I'll send you the link to his take, which
Well,
is
I mean, straight off the bat, the fact he's comparing it to civil rights movement is means it's not going to be a good take because you voluntarily put yourself on Apple's platform and market,
mm,
and I'm pretty sure that the ancestors of the people involved in the civil rights movement did involuntarily put themselves on those boats. So, buddy, not a good start for getting people on board with your cause.
I'll send it.
Um, yeah, what much else is there to say about that? It's
Mm,
like that's pretty much your TLDR version. You know, if you sign up with Apple, like Apple is the devil, so you're not going to get me like being an Apple stan and supporting them, you know, profiting off other companies and that kind of shit that they do. But at the same time, it's a bit like, you know, you agreed to the terms of conditions when you put your game up on that platform. What are you now complaining about? I don't get it.
Hmm.
I don't, again, I'm not a gamer, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I never played Fortnite. I don't really give a crap about Epic
Wait,
Games or Apple. Um,
well, the other thing as well is it's like, you know, if I'm comparing it to an artist and commissions and all that kind of
hmm,
shit business, it's like if I were to host, like I went into an art cafe kind of a while ago and they have some sort of display of artworks from people on the walls. And I asked them, like, oh, what's the deal with this? Because some of them were being sold, and they basically just say, like, we display the art. If anything gets sold, we keep a 25% cut of it or 20% cut. So, like, you know, they keep a cut. And I'm like, that's understandable because you're providing the exposure, which then leads to me generating an income. So
hmm,
it logically makes sense that you would want a cut of that income.
yep.
So pretty much that.
Hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Were you sad when Argentine soccer legend Maradona died?
Um, I wouldn't go as far as saying sad. It was kind of like a bit of a brief conversation at the dinner table when it was on in the news, and just like talking to my parents about what major soccer players exist and their legacies. Because like I know the name Maradona and I know who he is. So obviously he's a pretty important person in soccer. If me as a non-soccer stan recognizes the name, and then
Hmm,
the other name that I remembered was Pele.
hmm,
And then I know that there's like, you know, the more modern versions of like Wayne Rooney, David Beckham, Ronaldo. But for an older soccer player, yeah. Um, I
yeah,
guess, yeah,
yeah. I mean, I wasn't any more sad when he died than when I am when some other celebrity I've never met personally dies. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, it's a bummer, but at the same time, it's
There was
it's not like your family's dying.
there was an interesting conversation though. It was when we saw on the TV like the massive mourning and the funerals that goes
Mm,
on, and it was kind of like to do with like, you know, I don't want to be classist or rude against like the entire generalize it. Pardon me, I don't want to like generalize an entire population, but it does seem to be like a bit of a class analysis with the celebrity worship because he was an escape from poverty
mm,
compared to a lot of other people who don't have those same opportunities. So like he was a hero to them for
right.
yeah, that kind of escape. And it's like there's a bit of like living vicariously through someone, hero worship, and I guess the more um sufficient you are in your own life, the less of a need there is to live vicariously through others.
Mm, makes sense.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's sport. So,
it is. And then you had your article that I remember reading ages ago where you talked about like grieving and
mm,
possibly it was to do with celebrity deaths, but you mentioned your own previous partner who had passed, and it's like there's a good term, cognitive dissonance, that one,
mm,
because we can't as human beings mourn the loss of every single person on the planet equally, otherwise we wouldn't be able to function because how many people actually die during every single day.
yeah, that's it. And is one person's life death, really more than another?
Mm.
Aren't all deaths equally tragic in some way? I mean, maybe some more than others, but it's always sad. It's always someone who's being hurt. So, but you can't just spend your whole life thinking about that. At some point you have to just move on with life.
Yeah.
And yeah, and Maradona and soccer players in general just aren't in my care zone. So
Mm.
it's not anything against them.
Yeah,
It's just,
you just don't have the emotional capacity to have
it's,
to care about them compared to all the other shit you got on your plate.
yeah, I got other things to worry about. He lived all right while he was alive, so you know.
Yeah.
Which song do you think is the better of these two and why? Not Shy by ITZY versus Black Mamba by aespa.
I'll say Not Shy by ITZY because it's got that really good hook, like not shy, not me, ITZY, and that shit gets stuck in your head. So, I appreciate a good hook, even though a lot of the other song is like the rest of the song is some hot garbage at times, but it's kind of like almost ironic listen to it hot garbage that then becomes shit, I'm actually listening to this because I want to.
Mm.
That's what I found with the song.
Yeah,
Um, Black Mamba, I don't think it's necessarily bad, but it just didn't have an impact on me personally.
yeah. For me, it's really about even. I think both of those songs were shortlisted for my worst of lists, and they didn't get on because
Jesus, I would have thought that Not Shy would have been a given for your kind of list, given it's one of those hodgepodge mixes.
yeah, there was it. I didn't like it. I'll be honest, but there were there were other ones that I didn't like more.
All I'm gonna say
I'm
is
pretty
if
sure.
I see the other ITZY song from this year, which is Wannabe in your worst of list,
Mm.
I will like officially cancel all future appearances on this podcast because that song is a fucking masterpiece.
Well,
Best song of 2020. Spoiler alert for anyone waiting for AustralianSana's top 20 picks.
well, I will. You'll have to wait and see. But I'm just going to check Not Shy just to see if I did put it on the list. Because I honestly don't even remember what's on my fucking lists. To be honest, I actually have to go back and look. It's kind of sad. Um,
See, this is why I keep my own little up-to-date playlist throughout the year. So that way, instead of December and trying to scramble through all the songs that I'm trying to remember throughout the year,
mm,
I just have a convenient playlist that already exists on my phone
mm.
that I have been adding to throughout the entire year, and it's just done.
Yeah. I had just had a look, and no, it's not on there.
Hmm.
But I think it was on my original shortlist, and then it just got removed because there were other songs that were more shit,
I,
and it was definitely the same as Black Mamba. I'd say, yeah, I'd probably be leaning towards your opinion. Maybe Black Mamba's a little bit worse, just because it's a bit blander.
yeah, like
It's
when I
kind of
think
all that one riff all the way through
yeah.
almost,
Do,
and
do,
yeah.
do, 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 do. It's like when I think of that, I don't think of it as being like, oh my God, this is the worst shit I've ever heard. And I'm sure there's been plenty other worse songs throughout the year.
Hmm.
And it's kind of like a non-event for me. And if anything, I wouldn't say weird because, SM have had some shit songs in their time. But I guess it's like, it's not what you want to be doing on your debut
Hmm.
in such an oversaturated market.
Yes, yes. Um,
Moving on.
yes. We got another question from whoever it is who is just obsessed with people with dying through being killed by people from girl groups. Um,
Okay, is it like another face-sitting one?
yeah, it's similar. Which method of death do you think will be faster, having your head crushed by Itzy Rojin's thighs or being smothered by Aespa Karina's breasts?
Yeah, they're both very young. Like, I know they're not technically minors, but I don't feel comfortable talking about
Karina's in her
idol.
20s, isn't she?
Yeah, I guess. But it's like if they're born after 2000, then I flat out just like draw a line because I remember being like 8 years old in the year 2000
Yep.
and like having vivid memories of the clock counting down. And I have a younger cousin who was born in 2000 as well. So
Mm.
I'm kind of just like, ew, that's talking about my cousin. And ew, that's talking about like me being old enough to remember you being born. Like such an age gap feels just, ugh,
Well, Australian Sana might have morals, but I don't.
I've noticed.
Um, but I just think the question's kind of stupid. So I don't know. What's this? I mean, who cares? You'd be dead.
Exactly.
You know.
Ideally, whatever method is faster.
If I was going to get killed, I'd really want to go just something that's quick and painless. And I
Mm,
don't think being suffocated by anything would be all that quick or
mm,
painless. So I think these questions are dumb.
mm.
Next. I used to think that my life was a tragedy, but now I realize it's a fucking comedy. That's a quote. That's a key quote from the film Joker from
Mm.
2019. Considering all the shit you've gone through, do you take this approach to online K-pop fandom?
I take that a kind of approach to like my life in general. If you think my shit that I deal with in K-pop is bad, you should see my real life.
Cool. I mean, it's not a quote in the forefront of my mind, I guess. Um,
Like I don't live by that quote or anything. I'm just
No,
like,
I
eh,
don't. No, I don't think I'm not going to tattoo it on my ass. But
nah, pass.
yeah, I don't know. Don't think about that shit really. Have you ever been surprised by a huntsman spider in real life? And have you ever
Oh
found
my
one in your
god,
car?
literally today. Literally today. Not in my car, but like, have you ever been surprised by a huntsman spider? Yes. I was at work and moving some stock around and I picked up one of the boxes. Fucking spider. Yes.
Yeah. So what did you do?
I was just like, put the box down and then watched it crawl away.
Right. Yeah.
Huntsmans aren't poisonous. I think childhood me had like a fucking massive phobia of spiders in general, but I guess nearly dying a few times from other causes kind of just lessens the impact of the fear. So I'm just like a little
Spiders.
bit of a
Spiders that ate
ah.
you.
I kind of just like because of the shock of it, just not expecting it to be there, and then I put it down. I'm like, well, you know,
Mm,
away with you.
yeah.
Go away. You're not bothering me. Just get out of my way. I'm trying to work.
Yeah. I used to be more afraid of them when I was younger as well. But
Yeah.
you get
Get a bit older.
desensitized, especially living
Yeah.
here. But yeah,
Mm.
I've been surprised a lot, and I've had one in my car multiple times. The most fun one was when I was actually driving. I was actually remember why I even remember why I was driving. I was driving to the Old Line Hotel in Adelaide to see a metal group called Morbid Angel,
Mm.
who were playing there. And I was driving in my 1970s Toyota, and a huge huntsman crawled up the inside of the windshield right above me while I was driving.
Okay, that would have been a fucking car crash.
And
Like, even if I say I'm not afraid of them, I would definitely be in that kind of like
yeah,
claustrophobic environment.
yeah, and yeah,
No escape.
it was a small car too, and
Mm.
I was more scared of them then than I was now. So I was just like, oh fuck! So I quickly just pulled over to the side, and then I tried to find the spider so I could get it out, and
Yeah.
I could not find the spider. It just sort of vanished somewhere in the car,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I just I'm like, well, I don't want to miss his show, so I'm going to get back in the car. I'm going to drive to the show anyway. So I spent the next week driving around with that spider somewhere in the car and not knowing where the hell it was. And then a week later, it just sort of popped up on the window again, and then I was able to just sort of get it out of there.
That's familiar in terms of I think I've had one like that I saw on my car crawl then inside of the engine or something like that. The heebie-jeebies, but it never
Mm.
actually came out of the fucking air vent, thank God.
um, Fortunately, where I live now, there's not really um, this spider population is a bit lower, but
Weirdly enough, where I live is fine. Where I work, apparently like there was one that popped out today, and there was also one that came out like less than a week ago when I was in the kitchen as well. So they seem to be frequent at my job.
at the moment I live in a townhouse. But before then, I used to live in this apartment, and there was this couple that sort of who'd recently immigrated who lived in the apartment opposite mine, and they came and knocked on my door because they had had a huntsman in their bathroom, and they'd never seen anything like that in their home country.
Oh, poor people, poor
I'm not
people.
sure where they were from, but they were just like, holy crap! They were like
Yeah. I
evacuating the
mean, they
house.
look, yeah, they're big, ugly bastards. So if you're seeing it for your first time,
Yeah.
then they look like shit out of a horror
Mm.
film. So I understand the reaction.
But I just let it crawl on me, and then I just took it outside
Yeah, I'm not that
and
desensitized. When
and
I saw the one in the kitchen, I like got a piece of paper and like
mm,
put the cup over the paper and then released it outside. Like
that
I still don't
yeah.
like them touching me, thank you.
Yeah, with the huntsmans, for those who ever encounter one, a good vegan-friendly way to get rid of them is to yeah, use a bit of paper and the cup technique. But just be really quick with the cup, otherwise you end up chopping its leg off because it will try and bolt when it sees the cup coming. Um, and then you can just chuck it out somewhere.
Well, I think the cup that I was using was like one of those paper ones, so it wasn't like a cup,
Hmm.
just like some paper stuff, so it would have been fine.
Anyway, yeah, spiders are a thing. Um,
Australian culture, and by the way, yes, AustralianSana is employed.
yay.
Mhm.
Um, why do you think that society more commonly gives female pedophiles a pass? And This is comes
Um,
with a link, so
I'm
I'll
assuming it's to do with like a teacher-student relationship.
don't know. Let's have a look.
You open the link first, and then if it's not,
Um, UK mum cleared after having um, something with boy. It's
mm,
the archive hasn't come up right. Um, a mum of three was cleared of knowingly having sex with a boy who was only 14.
ew.
Now plans to capitalise on her notoriety by peddling images and videos on a raunchy website.
Oh, let me guess, she's making an OnlyFans.
I'm thinking about doing an OnlyFans account. People already hate me, so not much to lose. Um, Vincent, 32, admitted to initiating sex with a teen after inviting him and a pal into her home. Um, the mum insisted she thought he was 16.
As if that's so much better.
Um,
But yeah, I think we can get the general gist of the
yeah,
idea and then the basis of the question. And it's like, to state the obvious, no, I do not agree with that. I think that all pedophiles are disgusting and that anyone having sex with children needs mental help and, also a bullet through their head. Depends on whether you seek treatment before you actually do something versus if you're trying to stop yourself, then, I support people making sure that they're not offending.
mm,
But, yeah, and you like admit you're sick and then you stay the hell away from children for the rest of your life.
mm,
But, what am I trying to think of here? It's like, I think the reason for society not reacting as they should to these cases is a lot to do with like the fantasy aspect, especially from the male side. Like, if teenage girls fantasize about a hot teacher, it's usually like seen media wise as like a silly schoolgirl crush. Whereas male student teenager fantasizing over the hot teacher is like a trope in a lot of coming of age films. And there's a song that actually is a really fucking catchy song by a group called Busted, and it's basically, I literally look it up on my phone. I can't remember the title, but it's literally them fantasizing about their teacher.
mm.
And the end of the song, or in the music video of the clip, they like woo the teacher and they get together with their hot teacher.
Van Halen
Um,
had a song called "Hot for Teacher."
oh yeah, I listened to that today as well, part of the 80s mix that was on Wet Work. The song is literally called "What I Go to School For," and it's a banger. It's a
Mm.
great song. You can slip that in the podcast as like background music and bop along. We're like, yeah, but it's catchy as shit. But it's like, that's what I go to school for, and although it is the real world, you can call me crazy, but I know that she something's me, but it's like A's me. Yeah,
Right.
craves me. That's it.
Mm.
I know that she craves me. Um, so she may be 33, but that doesn't bother me. Literally song lyrics. So yeah, it's not normalized as in the action of it is still, a crime. But the portrayal of it is kind of like a fantasy. Schoolboy, wants to get with the hot teacher. And then there's the song, Stacy's mom has got it going on. So the fact that I could just list all this shit off the top of my head kind of proves that it's more of like it's a bigger culture problem as a whole rather than just like this one individual case with this person. And there's been times where like you'll see an article on Facebook, like pedophile teacher arrested for having sex with male student, in the comments section, you'll get like some gross men who are like, why are they arresting her? And, why is he pressing charges? He should be getting a high five or something, like, live the dream, kid. And so it's like seen as an achievement
Mm.
for the male to sleep with the older female. And like there was some other issue where a rapper took his 12-year-old son to a strip club, and there was an incident over the strippers giving him a lap dance because, he paid for it and
Mm.
all that shit. So it's like it's part of um like it's a society, like it's a problem on a lot of levels. You got the obvious pedophilia level. You've also got to like consider that the sexualization of boys and like this whole concept that men are horn dogs and you're not a real man until you get laid, and real men want to have sex, and if you want to grow up, and there's a lot of emphasis on growing up, be a man, even when boys are still minors and boys, but they want to be seen as a man.
Mm.
So they think sex. And yeah, it's like, it's quite a lot of issues there. And people, people will look at this and then they will say, see, this is the problem with feminism, because feminism means that women get off lighter when they're pedophiles. But the real thing is, feminism is about equality between the sexes. And in this specific case, feminism should mean the male victim is treated very seriously as, like, how do we help this child? How do we address the problem that makes him think that he should be having sex with this woman as well? It's not that victim blaming or anything like that either. It's just, it's a lot of layers. It's a
Mm.
lot of things wrong.
Cool.
And feminism is on the side of fixing this, not getting the woman off
Mm.
for a lighter sentence. No, feminism does not want pedophiles being released without proper sentences.
Let's move on to the next one, which is,
Yeah,
how do you feel about the recent scientific discovery that platypuses glow green under UV lighting?
I heard of this, but I haven't actually that, like, I know about that much of it in general. I think that's cool. I think platypuses are cool, or platypi, depending on your preferred plural.
Yeah, I had no idea about it actually. I'd not really. Yeah, and the link I sent you to it doesn't even work. So
That's all
don't
right.
send us links, people.
Yeah, we hate links.
We hate links. Stop doing it.
We hate them.
So see that question was fine without the link. And you just actually made the podcast more shit by having the link
Yeah,
there. If you actually
fuck
didn't
you.
have the link and just asked the question, we would have been able to give you the answer, link or no link. So just get your shit together. Um,
Get your shit together, people.
what's your position on the website wikifeet.com?
I think I'm gonna pass. I'm assuming it's a foot fetish kind of
I
website.
assume so. I've never seen it, but I'm looking it up now.
Of
Um,
course you are.
um,
For science.
Hey everyone, I'm thinking of creating a WikiFeet dating app, but I'm not sure how to make it appealing. Not sure how to make it appealing to women. Oh my God. Um, yeah, I'm, I'm basically the lower a feature is on a woman, the less interested I am. So feet, the lowest, the
It's a
lowest.
fetish dating website. I mean,
Yeah,
whatever floats your boat. If you can find women who are into being objectified like that, then go for it.
I dated
Go
a
for your
woman.
life.
I dated a woman who was really into feet actually. Um,
Huh.
and yeah, there's she like wanted to paint my toenails and shit. I was like, yeah, okay, if you want to do that.
All
Didn't really get me off, but she seemed to enjoy it, so whatever. um,
right.
anyway,
Find your people.
so maybe we need to that person needs to contact me, and then this other person who asked the
You can
question,
put them in touch with her.
yeah, that's right, they can. Next, have people ever told you that you look like particular celebrities?
Weirdly, I have been told at one point that I looked like Jennifer Lawrence during a shift at, like, one of my old restaurant jobs. Someone was like, "Oh, you look like Jennifer Lawrence," and I was like, "What?" And then they're like, "Surely you get told that all the time," and I was like, "No."
Hmm.
And then another person I got compared to, it's like I get compared to celebrities who look nothing like each other, so I guess it's kind of weird in that way. When I was on Hard Quiz that time, one of the comments in the Facebook section, like one of the only nice comments, so thank you, kind stranger, said that I kind of looked like Naomi Watts, and I'm like, that's not an offensive comparison.
Hmm.
I'll take that.
Yeah, Naomi
Um,
Watts look pretty good.
yeah, so I was just like, considering that other people were saying like she looks like she's gonna be hiding under your bed, and I'm like, what? I was like, I don't even want to be leaving my bed. Why want to go anywhere near yours? Go away. So I was just like, thanks someone for leaving a nice comment, considering everyone else was like calling me weird and such. And I'm like, I'm autistic. Leave me alone. Of course, I'm gonna look weird. I was uncomfortable and on camera. Yeah, so one person was nice.
Hmm, cool. When I was when I actually had hair,
Mm.
the film Lost Highway was out, and some people said I looked a bit like Bill Pullman in Lost Highway. No one says that anymore because I don't have any hair, so I just,
What was the other one? Because my hair color changes a bit as well.
mm,
When I was 18 and dyed my hair black, I was told Katy Perry because black hair, blue eyes. So that was a pretty basic one.
right.
And then with brown hair and blue eyes, Kaya Scalderio, however you say her name.
Who?
But I think her facial features are more sharper than mine. So weird comparisons. I'm
Mm.
sure there'll be plenty of people who think I'm ugly and will be comparing me to like hideous things in your inbox, saying she doesn't look anything like this. She looks like this.
Yeah, who knows?
If they find this podcast.
If you met someone whose entire skin was like that of a scrotum, what are five K-pop songs that you would recommend to them to distract them from their life's plight?
So we've got scrotum skin. Surely that would be considered a birth defect and therefore would be offensive to make fun of. Like a burns victim, essentially. So that's
Why
kind
can't I
of
just give them my
mean.
five? Why wouldn't I just give them my five favorite K-pop songs? Why,
Yeah.
why would this skin being like a scrotum have any factor in what songs I would like? It's not like their ears are different. They I
Yeah.
don't hear sound different. They can hear the music the same. So
Mm,
yeah, funny
that.
question, but it doesn't quite make sense to me.
It's like too much going on there, buddy. Think it through next time.
Hmm. Let's move on.
Indeed.
What
What's happening?
K-pop industry figure would you condemn to a personal hell where they're teabagged by a set of big sweaty balls for all eternity, and why?
Bang Shishyok.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, that was just, it's a given. Stop fucking ruining Taehyung's career, you cunt. Your choice?
Yeah,
And then YG is the other one as well for like, fostering fucking rapists in his company too. So,
yeah. I don't know. A lot of them are pretty bad. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Orgy in hell for all of them.
Yeah.
But not, they don't enjoy it because it's hell.
Mm. Um. Here we go. Do you think that woke people who hate on Israelis because of Zionism are just looking for an excuse to justify their hatred of Jews? And this comes with a what looks like a very long explanation of Zionism, which I'm not going to read out because it's boring.
There's a difference between anti Semitism and anti Zionism. Um, and yeah, you're going to obviously have someone who's pro Israel and they're going to have all the shit that they've been reading. So nothing that I say on this podcast will ever change their mind on their stance.
Mm,
And I am someone who supports people in Palestine because if you look at the shit that goes on in that country that is done by I think it's like IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, like they're killing children. They're fucking killing children. And just for like it's absolutely an abuse of power by government military. So, you know,
mm. I'm
you
not even going to get into the whole Israel
yeah.
Palestine shit. I don't live
It's
there.
shit that's been going on for like
It's,
5,000
it's
years.
going on forever. It's probably never going to get solved.
Not in our lifetimes.
I'm out on that one. Um, next.
Yeah, it's like whether we agree, like, whether it will ever get fixed in our lifetimes, I'm pretty sure we can agree that it will not. I think we can agree that, military killing civilian children isn't acceptable.
How do you like to have your steak to be cooked?
Hmm. I like the sound medium rare because it sounds fancy, but I'm more of a well done person. I don't like it when it's bleeding, just like a little bit of pink in there, but like no. I think I like had one time when I bit into a steak and it was like the blood was almost still in there, and I was like, no. So I don't like that.
I think it depends on the steak. I really like kangaroo steak, and I like that to be as rare as possible. So, you know, pretty much they,
Chowing down on the blood of our national
yeah,
enemy.
pretty much, they pretty much just show it to the fire, and they give it to you on the plate, and that's really nice. Um, you can eat kangaroo meat raw; it's really nice. Have it in a sushi.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, other meats, I think maybe cook it a little bit more. But yeah, when I was growing up, I never knew that there was a such thing as having a like rare or medium rare cooking because my mother used to just cook everything like well done.
Hmm.
It's only when I started actually dating my current partner, because she's like a real rare steak kind of girl, and
Hmm.
that's when I got into it, and I was like, oh wow, this is a totally different way to eat meat. This is kind of cool. before
I
then?
like how my dad
I had no
cooks.
idea.
He
Yep,
does a good he does a good barbecue. So,
cool.
however my dad cooks my steak, thank you.
Here we go. Jar Jar Binks question.
Again, bring it on.
If you made a hypothetical dead serious movie starring Jar Jar Binks, where he only has meaningful dialogue, would you keep his voice tone and speaking characteristics the same?
100% yes.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, I only
I would
vaguely know what he
pay to
sounds
see
like,
that
but
shit.
yeah, it'd be cool. It'd be like, I don't know, it'd be some drama where he'd be discriminated against because of the way he sounds, and he could overcome him, and it'd be a good message of anti-discrimination or something like
Lisa, have your feelings.
that. YouTube movie reviewer Nostalgia Critic believes that humor is intrinsic upon someone suffering or experiencing misfortune. Do you agree?
Um,
That question is a little bit vague. I think I know what they're trying to ask, but they're trying to say, but I'd probably need to um, see this person's statements to even know if I agree with
yeah.
them.
Well, like again, for starters, I don't recognize that YouTuber, so it's a bit hard to
Yeah.
um comment. So
Ag-
he
ag-
believes that humor is intrinsic to suffering.
Humor is intrinsic upon someone suffering or experiencing misfortune.
Hey, so like, in what way?
Or I don't know. I guess what they're saying is he's saying that, you know, the or basically that all misfortunes in life carry some kind of dark humor potential. I guess maybe that's the argument. I don't know.
Kind of. I
I
mean, I
think
mean,
I think it depends how it's done.
mm, mm.
Um,
It depends who's the one doing it, that
yeah.
kind of thing.
Look, I think anything potentially can be funny, but it depends. But it takes a very skilled practitioner of humor to make a very serious topic or a very extreme topic funny rather than
Mm.
just crass or whatever.
Yeah, because there's like edgy humor and dark humor, and then it's like, is it funny, or are you just being offensive for the sake of being offensive?
Mm. So, yeah, and I think I mean, I guess people's lines may vary on that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I constantly make fun of like, my own health issues that I've had in the past. It was funny, like at work, I was telling a story about how my lungs had collapsed multiple times
Yep,
to my coworker because, like, it's a weird thing to like have to, I guess, constantly tell people whenever you meet someone new because it's like it is essentially a bit of character building and like I can't exactly just leave 2 years out of my life when meeting new people. So like,
sure.
it accounted for a fucking shitload of shit that happened in my life. So I do have
Mm,
to explain. So when I do have to go through the constant process of explaining this situation to people who I haven't previously told before, I kind of make it, I encourage people to laugh at it when I'm talking about it to them because otherwise it's really depressing to have to constantly talk about, hey, remember the time I nearly died? Like in my own brain and reliving my own trauma, for lack of a better word.
mm.
So yeah, it's like I make sound effects when I'm talking about tubes being jammed into my lungs.
Well, I think that's a very Australian thing to be able to
Yeah.
laugh at the underdog and laugh at misfortune and all that sort of stuff. So,
It's kind of like, how else am I going to tell the story? Do I want to, like,
do you want to make everyone
break
miserable?
out the world's smallest violin and make them cry by the end of it? And it's like, well, no.
Yeah, exactly. So, humor is a way to, you know,
Coping mechanism.
it's a coping mechanism. And it's a way to be able to relay tragic things without necessarily making other people have to,
Yeah.
carry
Yeah. Like,
along and experience all your feelings.
it's like, it was shit for me dealing with it. Why do I want to make someone else feel like shit about it too?
Yeah. So, so in that level, yeah, I mean, maybe if that's what he's saying, I agree with it. But this question would have been good if we actually had a quote from him or something like that.
Mm.
But without a quote, it's hard to really know. But anyway, um,
Oh, well.
next question. In 2020, American company Warner Bros. Released through their anime streaming service Crunchyroll several animated adaptations of popular manhwas, Korean comics,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Webtoon owned by Naver,
Mm.
i.e. Tower of God, Nobilis, The God of High School. All of these shows were made by Japanese animation studios.
Mm-hmm.
How should we classify these shows? Are they anime? Are they Korean shows? Are they US shows? I think there are Japanese, Korean, and English voice dubs for all of these shows.
Um, why isn't it possible to just classify them as a combination of all of them?
Why not just call it animation
Yeah.
and not even worry about where it's from? Does it even
Mm,
matter that
yeah.
much?
I think it's because like there's elitists, especially with anime specifically, and like there's a really good cartoon that I love called Avatar: The Last Airbender, greatest show of all time, any genre. And there's like nerd arguments on whether it can be classified as anime because it was actually made by an American film studio, but it's also heavily influenced by actual anime. So
Mm.
it's like,
It's like the
I
Kachi and K-pop argument.
yeah,
Mm.
I mean, I'm not really I'm not into anime enough to be able to even know where the real distinction to draw the line at that is.
Yeah, me neither. I couldn't give a crap. You know, yeah, I just don't care. It's all sucks if you ask me. So let's move on.
It doesn't suck, it's good, but moving on anyway. Sorry, my dog, who was previously
Mm.
sitting on my bed and behaving
Oh,
himself,
good dog.
he now wants to go outside. Don't you? Barking at me. He's not barking, he's like, fine.
Speaking of which, where's my cat? She usually coming in here when I'm doing a stream. Oh, yeah, she's hanging out outside. Hi. Um, so next question. Oh, this is obviously directed at you. Do you think that Kpopalypse is trying to get contrarian cool points for disliking the Beatles?
There we go, the dog is free.
Oh, you weren't even there. Okay, cool. That's all right.
I had to literally like take my headphones off, open the door, and then open the other door in the hallway so he could go out. And I think he wants to go chase something that he heard out my window in the backyard.
Yep.
But he is free now.
Cool. Groovy. I'll ask you the next question again, which is purely directed at yourself. And that is, do you think that Kpopalypse is trying to get contrarian cool points for disliking the Beatles?
Um, I wouldn't even call that contrarian cool points. Have you seen, or not even millennial Gen Z Twitter? They constantly take the piss out of the Beatles on a daily basis, and I think it's hilarious.
Yeah, and I don't hate everything they did. Maybe they got one good song. I don't know, one or two.
Like, I'm not a Beatles
But
fan, but like, I've got a couple of songs on my iPod of theirs. Like, I like some of their music.
two more than me.
Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know.
you're right.
But no, I'm not after contrarian cool points. I just don't like shitty music. Um, this is not my fault. Next.
Sorry, I was born with better taste than you.
um, what are your top three Disney animated movies and why? Pixar movies don't count.
Oh, okay, Pixar don't count. I've got heaps. Like, it's hard for me to even pick a fave. I would have to say Sleeping Beauty because I can literally quote that entire movie word for word.
Hmm.
Like, if that movie is on, I think I did it before on Twitter, but the clip was probably on my old account that got suspended. At one point, I'll upload another clip in the future, and you can post it to like whoever asked this question, where I can like, it's not just quoting the film; it's like quoting it with the intonations and the character voices and all that shit. I do that. What's another one? So yeah, Sleeping Beauty's up there. Beauty and the Beast is my other favorite one as well. I've, during my highs and lows of mental health and instability, at one point I kind of dealt with really bad insomnia and couldn't sleep. So that was the film that I would play and I would eventually fall asleep to. So it's a very comforting film for me.
Yep.
And what is the other one? Kind of just another one that I like to do the imitations of. Lion King.
Okay.
Specifically, like the scene where it's before they like the song "Can You Feel the Love Tonight." It's like a really popular song. Elton John wrote
Mm.
it and all that. No, the thing I love about that song is the start with Timon and Pullman. It's like, I can see what's happening. What? And they don't have a clue. Who? They'll fall in love. And here's the bottom line: our trio's down to two. Oh, it's so much fun to sing along in the car.
You know, I'd have to bow to this one. I mean, they want me to answer two, but I'm not even sure if I've actually seen three Disney animated movies all the way through. I
Probably a bit before you, like, I wouldn't like, as I say, before, after your time, but
no, well, not really. I mean, when I
yeah,
was young and
there's Peter Pan, I guess, when you were younger as well, but like a lot of Disney princess ones.
I mean, I mean, there's Disney films going back to the 30s and stuff like that, but I
Mm.
mean, I've probably seen bits of almost all of them, all of the early ones, but I don't know, but what I've actually seen all the way through, I couldn't even tell you.
I've
Um,
got like actually a collection of DVDs like beside my bed. Um, and like I got rid of a vast majority of my old DVD collection just because of how much storage space it takes up.
mm,
But my favorite Disney films, like my favorite ones, are all still in my collection. So
um,
yeah,
I
a
was,
lot of nostalgia in there.
I wasn't very cultured as a child, so I don't think I
Mm.
was really all that aware of Disney films, that they even had feature-length films. And I think by the time I was aware of that was probably when The Little Mermaid came out, because that happened when I was
That
in
would have
high
been another
school.
one that's really high up on my list. My
Yeah.
auntie gave me a tape of that.
Yeah, and because that came out, I was in high school, and that film was huge when it came out. It was really big,
Mm.
and that really created a whole lot of interest in the time and all the early 1930s Disney
Mm.
stuff, because it was the first really big animated feature of original content apparently that Disney had done since back in
Mm.
the golden age of Disney.
Yes. So it created the Renaissance.
Yeah, it did. So, and but by that time I was really kind of a bit too old to give a fuck. You know,
Yeah.
I
You're a
was
teenage boy,
I was a
so
teenage boy, I was listening to like Slayer and shit like that. I wasn't going to watch a Disney film, you know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah, it was just a bit culturally out of step with me at the time. So I still don't think to this day I've seen a full Disney film all the way through.
I personally love them, but then like there's also a lot of weird people who are like, Disney. I guess like Disney stands are about as batshit insane as K-pop fans as well.
Oh dear,
Like
this
if
must
you
be
look,
bad.
oh yeah, like there are people who literally were protesting outside of Disneyland or Disney World in whatever the one in Florida is
Hmm.
over the park closures. They're like, I haven't been to Disney in so and so months. Bring back the magic. I'm like, bitch, there's a fucking virus. Go home. Like, those characters aren't real. Those are people in costumes at the park, and you would put those people in costumes' lives at risk so you can, like, live out some freakish kind of fantasy world of, yeah, it's nonsense.
Hmm. Crazy, crazy.
Mm.
Next, do you this is obviously for you as well. Do you consider Kpopalypse blog to be similar in tone to Angry Video Game Nerd?
I don't know who Angry Video Game Nerd is.
That's an easy question to answer. Thanks for that one. I can't even remember the last time I watched it. The only time I've ever seen Angry Video Game Nerd is when people tell me, "Hey, you seem a lot like Angry Video Game Nerd," um, and then I've watched it and I've gone, "No, that's like 100% opposite of how I feel about everything." Because they seem really angry and I'm just super laid back about everything.
Yeah,
People, what really doesn't seem to come across to most people in my writing
writing
is
tone.
is a tone. The Australian humour is very laid back, and
Hmm.
the laid back satirical nature of the writing definitely does not come across to international listeners at all,
Yeah, I was
especially
about to say,
not
especially
Americans.
Americans.
Amer
Ah,
um,
our timing.
yeah,
Especially Americans.
Americans just do not get it. And well, some do, but very few.
Yeah.
People in like South America, Europe, they kind of get it a little bit more. Um, but America, it's just like
Americans are weirdly literal. Like they need
yeah,
shit spelled out to them.
yeah, it's just different sense of humor over there, and they
It's not very funny.
yeah. So yeah. Next question: do you have any simps? Well,
Simps.
I gotta be reminded, what the fuck is a simp? This is
Oh,
this is annoying jargon that's just come up in the last year that I hate and I don't understand it. What
um,
does that shit mean?
Sorry, I'm a little distracted because as I'm also talking, I'm sewing up one of my tartar plushies because when I cut out the tag, it kind of left a hole. Mm, that's all right, but it's not perfect. Oh well, poor baby. Um, let's see. Simp is like, I'm a simp for this person, and it basically means like you're whipped and you would do anything for
It's
them.
like pussy whipped.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
basically the exact same thing. So, do I have people who are pussy whipped for me? I am sure that people who are outsiders would look at, say, like you or other ones of my friends who like actually take the time to listen to me explaining my opinions in greater detail instead of just taking me at surface value and joining on the hate bandwagon.
Mm. And
So there'd be a lot of people who'd be like, "Oh, you're such a simp for Australian Sana,"
mm.
but like I don't encourage actual simps or like it's such a weird word because like what classifies a simp? And a lot of people will just classify decent human behavior as being a simp because they want to be like, I'm a macho man and I treat my woman like shit. So anybody who treats a woman with respect is a simp.
Mm.
So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I appreciate people who treat me like an actual human being, and I would like to think that's my friends and my followers that I have on my private. But in terms of like actual simp in is a negative word, I guess, like if you were to think of stans and how they'll blindly defend an idol and make up excuses for them.
Mm.
I tell people not to do that for me when like I've had some friends of mine who try and, defend me to outsiders
Mm.
and I'm just like, don't bother. These people have already made up their minds. I appreciate the fact that you care about me to the point that you're willing to actually get involved in arguments on my behalf, but there's no need for it. Just chill. It's okay. That's
Yep.
all right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do I have any simps? I don't know. How would I know? Um,
Ask your Patreon followers if they're simps, and then if they say yes, ask them to give you money, because that's what simps would do.
right. Well, they're already giving me money if they're my Patreon
So
followers,
they're
so I guess
exactly
they are.
there you go. Ask
Um,
them to give you more money.
well, I think on the when I wrote my post about the Satanic Illuminati on my blog about a month ago, I
Mm.
put a new tier on my Patreon, $1,000 a month tier, and I call that the Illuminati tier because I decided that one of the reasons why I know for sure that the Illuminati is not in K-pop is they're not funding me because because I spend the whole post basically denying that they exist. So so if they
If the
did exist, it would
Illuminati
be
wants to
in their
prove their
interests to give money to someone who denies their existence. So
brilliant.
so therefore they they should be giving me money. And so far, no one has signed up to that particular tier.
So, are the Illuminati Kpopalypse simps? Stay tuned to find out.
I'll let you know when the money comes rolling in.
Illuminati simps for Kpopalypse.
Yep, then you'll have your answer.
There we go.
Um, thoughts, and here's a quote.
Mm.
Hayden Christensen returns as Darth Vader, joining Ewan McGregor in Obi-Wan Kenobi. The original series begins 10 years after the dramatic events of Revenge of the Sith, and is
Revenge of the this.
Revenge of the Sith, and is
Revenge of the simp.
Revenge of the Simp. I'll say Simp; it's easier to say, and is coming to Disney Plus. Um, do you give a fuck about this
Bittersweet.
series called Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Look, Disney has essentially been the cause of that god awful butchering of The Force Awakens. Granted that they were the ones responsible for the good first film in the new Star Wars trilogy, which was The Force Awakens,
Mm,
but they were also responsible for the awful following two films. So it's like I don't trust Disney anywhere near Star Wars. Apparently The Mandalorian is very good, and I think I've like have it to watch, but because of how badly they did the films, I'm just eh. I liked no, I wouldn't say I liked Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader. I don't necessarily like he wasn't very good, but it was also the writing and the direction was really awful for as well. So you can't just blame the actor. So it's nice. And then like because of how much he was panned for that role, he basically went on a massive hiatus. So I'm kind of encourage him having I guess a second chance or a revival of his career, like let the poor man live. And I like Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, but it's just again, it's like, are they going to just butcher more shit, or what can really be told? Because we all know that, like the ending, for someone like yourself who doesn't know, the ending of the third film is Padme dies and Obi-Wan.
I'll just take the headset off for a moment so I can't hear you spoil
you
it.
Obi-Wan takes the two kids, Luke and Leia, away to put them with other families, and then Darth Vader goes off and he's burnt to a crisp from the lava, so he then needs the suit to survive with Emperor Palpatine.
Mm.
And then the fourth film then starts with the whole Luke becoming a Jedi, Obi-Wan sacrificing himself in the Death Star. So it's like we already know
We already
what
know
the
the shit, so what can they
okay,
tell
so
us?
we already know what's
Yeah,
going to happen.
yeah,
What is really the point of this?
yeah. I don't know.
Money,
What's the point of any
obvious.
Star Wars shit, honestly? Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was over it when I was 18. Um, is eating supper a thing in Australia?
Well, we call it dinner.
Well, isn't supper like dessert?
Oh.
Um,
Um,
I remember having supper when I was, but that was like dessert
yeah,
when
well,
I
we
was
have
growing up.
dessert sometimes, but not all the time.
Or not necessarily a dessert attached to your main course, but a separate meal that you would have at like 8 p.m., 9 p.m. or whatever. That
Hmm.
was normally sweet stuff.
Second dinner, in the words of the Hobbits.
Mm. Or like a small sweet thing. Like,
Kind of like, for example, tonight I had dinner,
mm,
had pie,
yep,
with pie, and then about an hour later,
mm,
around 8 o'clock,
mm.
I made myself a cup of tea, and then I've eaten half a packet of biscuits, so I could call
That's
that
supper.
supper.
That's supper. Yeah, I don't know.
I call it binge eating, but
Well,
yeah,
I guess that's what I always understood it to be when I was growing up. But
socially acceptable binge eating,
yeah.
supper.
Next question. Fucking magnets. How do they work?
Insane clown posse reference.
Yes. Let's just move.
We got that.
Let's just move on
It,
because I don't even know. Fuck.
like put that like gif of Captain America when he says, "I understood that reference" in the Marvel movies from the Avengers.
Mhm.
That's a quote. It's relevant. I can make relevant cultural references. Good for me.
I'm glad you know what you're talking about because I
Thank you.
don't.
Hopefully, one of our listeners will. By the way, I fixed my Tata plushie and he looks better now, so I'm happy.
Cool. Achievement. Achievement unlocked.
Hey,
Next
he's not
question.
perfect, but he's fine.
How do you feel about sewer levels in video games? And if you were to make your own game, would you include a sewer level?
Why are people asking me gaming questions?
I know.
I do not game. I say this every week. I'm going to just assume these are all for you at this point.
Yeah, well, I'll answer that. I did make a few of my own computer games, which you can actually play if you go to Kpopalypse on Itch.io, and none of them have sewer levels. Um, and I don't particularly like sewer levels. However, having said that, now that this has been mentioned, maybe the next one will.
Hmm. Is a special request.
Yes. Next question. Please do freestyle rap right now. Thanks.
What is our rap topic? You got to be more specific.
Yeah, I know they don't really give us much to go on.
Taylor, did you not just hear the rhyme impromptu there? What is the rap topic? You got to be more specific.
It's not.
Topic rhyming with specific.
It's not
Oh,
rhyming.
close enough. It's called a near rhyme. Look it up.
It's far rhyme.
Near rhyme.
Next. Um, what's your opinion of nursery rhyme-like songs that the Beatles started to release when they became hippies? For instance, Octopus's Garden, Yellow Submarine.
Ah, interesting. Because, like, you hate the Beatles, so I'm assuming that this is shit to you.
Yeah, that shit fucking scared me when I was a kid. When I was a kid in primary school, when I was a kid, we we all watched
Yellow Submarine.
the Yellow Submarine film, and that film as a kid scared the fucking shit out of me because if you've never seen that film, it's this fucking weird ass psychedelic freak out film where there's these weird monsters that turn everyone to stone, and the and I was just like. halfway through the film, like everyone would be turned to stone, and I was distraught because everyone had dead. They were all statues, and I was crying, and I was like, "Fuck the Beatles, fuck this shit."
No wonder you
Oh,
hate them. You've got
and
like unresolved childhood trauma.
yeah, I do, and I didn't even watch it to the end because I was just so upset. I actually left. They actually let me go. That's how distraught I was.
Mm,
The teachers did not force me to watch the whole of that shitty film. So,
good.
and it's got all the Beatles shitty psychedelic, drug reference songs in there. That John Lennon wrote in between beating Yoko Ono up and taking LSD.
Lucy in the sky with
And
diamonds.
yeah, it's just shit, terrible. Um, but you all knew that anyway. What's your opinion?
Indifferent. Like I like some of them. Like I mean, I like, as I was just humming along the
Mm,
obnoxiously Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. I like that
mhm,
song. I wanna be under the sea in an octopus's garden in the shade. Like that's a catchy song, and it's like I don't mind like a bit of a jingle,
mm,
but what I've always found kind of really fucking stupid about this idolization of the Beatles as the greatest thing ever is like. Have you listened to the White Album and some of the weird fucking shit on that album? There's a song that's literally called Why Don't We Do It on the Road? And that is literally the song for a minute. And I'm like, this is the greatest band that everyone talks about. Like, they're the greatest thing ever. I'm like, they have songs I enjoy. They also have some really shit songs.
mm. Yes, cool. Let's move on. Which rookies that came out as part of the fourth generation are you the most excited about, music-wise and with regards to individual idols, aka your potential bias? Any predictions about the course of respective careers for Weekly, Itzy, Stacey, Aespa, N hyphen, and insert any rookies I've missed.
Interesting. So, straight off the bat, I just do not care about boy groups. I'm sorry. But for the girl groups, I really liked ITZY. Um, in a weird way, like, it's kind of the music that I'd almost listen to ironically,
Hmm,
but then I start actually enjoying it.
hmm,
But the song Wannabe was fantastic. That entire It's Me album, mini album, great songs. All songs are good. So from that, I enjoy ITZY a lot. And then
hmm,
what I find that bigger companies can be really good at doing is making the members recognizable. So it's like I recognize Ryujin because she's one, a really, really good dancer. Two, she was also in Hoseok's partner in one of the BTS films that ended up meaning absolutely nothing in the big hit plot universe, but that's a whole other rant. So she was featured in like a BTS clip, and then she was also in that YG show, the Mix something,
hmm,
not Mix and Match, but it was the one where like they had the boy and the girl trainees, and then they made the group, and then they never debuted the group anyway because the rankings sucked, the ratings sucked.
hmm,
But yeah, she was in that, and she was like the number one trainee in that. So yeah, she's really cool. I also like Yeji because I think she's got really distinctive eyes and like her facial feature, and I think that's pretty cool to have such like unique and recognizable features.
hmm.
Young is a really good dancer, and she was one of the contestants on 16. Um, I know that Yuna was the Somi replacement, and like she kind of got pulled up really young, but then I think she's done really well for herself. And then there's Leah, who's the English speaker in the group. So the fact that I can name all five members is pretty good, considering that I have like no real intention of standing,
Mm,
because like I just don't have the effort to invest in all these new groups whilst also maintaining my interest in the groups that I have like that I've been fans of for years already.
mm,
Like my main group is G Friend, everyone knows that. Also enjoy Blackpink, also enjoy Twice.
mm.
These are my main groups. But for a new group like ITZY to have come along and for me to actually recognize all the members, pretty impressive. So I'll give kudos to one, JYP, and two, my friend on Twitter who basically became an ITZY stan, and I guess I have all the shit that they retweet put into my feed, so it's kind of got me into them as well.
Yeah,
I also really like Weekly. That
yeah.
song Tell Me was like fucking fantastic, even with that weird break in the middle with the dubstep, which we don't like. Rest of the song was so good, it made up for that. Like, take me, na 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 na, meow 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 meow, na 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 na. That's brilliant, catchy as shit. Love that. Standing.
Rightio. How do I feel about this question? I don't know. Fourth, what? Where does the fourth generation start? I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know
Um,
that either.
I
I just kind of went from the examples provided.
yeah. I don't know if they qualify. I think probably out of very new groups, I think Everglow had a really good year. Um,
Yes. Brilliant,
so
brilliant mini album, even though there's only 4 songs in it.
yeah.
All good.
They're the standout for me among the very new groups. And as for individuals, or biasing them, it's too. I never really have any strong opinions about people in new groups that have just debuted because it takes me a long time to even be able to tell the difference between members visually.
Mm.
And even then, often when they're young, they just don't look that interesting to me. Maybe because I'm an old fart now. But honestly, the idols that I think look really, really good, they're mainly ones like in their 30s now. Um, so, maybe that's because my current partner's also in her 30s. So,
Mm.
um, yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, no one's really come out that I've gone, oh, wow, she looks amazing or whatever. Um, yeah, so
Mm.
that's all I got to say on that. Um, Australian Sana, could you please rate Kpopalypse's hotness on a scale from 1 to 10?
Do not have a visual cue. Never seen a photo. Don't know what he looks like.
Really?
Mm.
No, okay. Oh, you're not missing much. Basically, if you do ever see Romper Stomper, this is a bit like that. This question is for Kpopalypse, but Australian Sana can join if she so desires. What is your... Yeah, you probably won't desire. What is your top 5 League of Legends champions that you hate playing against? And keep up the good work. Um,
All yours.
I think this person is saying this so if they go against me, they know how to outpick me. Um,
Mhm.
but who do I hate playing against? I I really don't like Kane. I think walking through walls is a cheat. Walking through walls is a cheat on any other game. You shouldn't be allowed to do it in League of Legends. Um, I don't like Pike because of that invisibility shit and that crazy ultimate ability that just kills you. I don't even know what it is. I don't play him. I don't like Shaco because once again it's like a little bitch champion for people who do sneaky shit. Just fight like a man. Um, who else? Um, there are a few others. Brand is annoying because he's just very powerful and he never seems to get nerfed. And um, can I think of a fifth one that's annoying to play against? I mean, they're all annoying to play against if you're playing against someone good. Um, I think maybe the fifth one is Talon once again because he's too mobile. I don't like how in that game there seems to be a lot of mobility at creep, especially with the newer champions. They all seem to be able to move really, really quickly, and the game's become very reflex based. And because I'm an old man with crappy reflexes, I feel like I'm sort of being left behind a bit because I just can't keep up that shit. Anyway, sorry to the 95% of you who don't who are watching this, listening to this, and
Okay, speaking
don't
of
give
our
a fuck.
Christmas podcast,
Yes, yes, go
speaking
on.
of our Christmas podcast, right in time with the Korean charts because they update like every day now at 10 p.m.
Mm.
Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You, 8 p.m. Korean Standard Time
Oh
update.
god.
#1 on Melon, #1 on Genie, #1 on Bugs, currently #5 on Flow. She's coming for that perfect all kill.
Yeah, fuck that song.
Mariah, I need day back. Give her day back.
Fuck that song. Um, I don't know if it was asked already, but what K-pop group do you feel is cursed? My answer is TST, but I'm curious about yours.
Who? TST?
Yeah, top secret. They had some sort of weird controversy where I don't know. I can't remember what happened. Um,
Huh.
some guy did some in that group did some fucked up shit. I can't remember what it was. What was it? I can't even remember.
Mm.
So
Kind
who's
of feel that G Friend has been cursed ever since going to Big Hit. Bastards. Like after they joined Big Hit, they got forced onto Weverse, which means that they lost their Korean fan cafe, which used to be so much more organized and catered to the Korean fans who were the ones actually responsible for the fucking charts. And then their comebacks have both fallen out of melon like super quickly, and they're no longer able to participate on NBC shows because of Big Hit's shitty rivalry with shitty whatever argument, disagreement with whatever they have with that company. So, Big Hit is a fucking curse on G Friend. Free G Friend. Next.
Cursed. Oh, well, I thought that Preston was certainly cursed.
Mm,
Broke
mm,
up, and they started a spin-off group, and then that spin-off group died straight away. So obviously
mhm,
there was some massive problems going on in that group. That wasn't just
mm,
confined to the actual label,
mm.
but it was within the girls somehow. And uh,
Bad voodoo.
here's next one. Has the K-pop trend reached its peak? How long until it becomes irrelevant to most today fans? Can you imagine K-pop surviving as a small niche but still being financially sustainable for a long time?
Unfortunately, I think it will be slightly sustainable, considering it was sustainable when I joined it, and then I've been a fan for 10 years next year. So
Mm,
I wouldn't say, it's not unfortunate for the actual, I think it is unfortunate for the idols because they're the ones in the shitty contracts.
mm,
So yeah, it's unfortunate for working conditions. It's unfortunate for people who are normal who have to put up with the fandoms.
yeah, yeah.
So
I think everything's pretty entrenched at this point.
yeah,
Mm,
it's a niche.
mm, yeah. Next. Here's someone passionate. Um, why does AustralianSana continue to cover for BTS and deflect how much role they play in the problematic things associated with them? Parasocial is carried out by the idols, and application of mental health survey findings were used to plan actions that BTS carried out. So
Are
why
you
make them
aware that the
sound
only reason
harmless?
that people, sorry, like people were talking about like the idol survey.
But
I blast
this
that fucking idol
This
survey
this
all the fucking
person's
time.
this person is straw manning you something crazy. You've
I
spoken
know.
out against that survey multiple times.
Yes,
So this
straw man, big time.
so this
Um,
person who asked this question wasn't obviously is not paying attention to what you actually say.
no, but I will continue to answer it anyway.
Yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
so like caping for BTS, I do not. I'm sure if you actually like, and I think I read a similar comment on your actual blog because I occasionally like check to see if there's been like a transcription updated. Whoever does them, we respect you. If you don't have the time to do them, I also still respect you because I wouldn't be fucked doing it either. Um, anyway, continuing. And I read a comment very similar to that. So at least they had the balls to come and say it to my face
Mm,
or my inbox. So, slight respect for that. But, as I've already debunked, I do not condone that survey. And as I kind of got annoyed and interrupted you mid question to say, I'm the one who heavily spreads that survey whenever I possibly can to try and get more outrage generated to force people to actually hold Big Hit accountable for ever doing something like that in the first place. Like
Um,
I
I'll just give you the end of the question there because there's a bit of a
okay,
detail there. Um, I think their issue is that they feel that you're using Big Hit as a scapegoat because they're saying
oh, yeah.
Parasocial was carried out by the idols. Um,
Well, no, that's the contract that they're locked into.
yeah,
But continue.
so I think this person may not realise that the idols have to kind of do what they're told. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
They're not this creative freedom group that they're marketed as, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I get what they're also saying as well, in
Mm,
terms of there are definitely members of BTS who are very complicit with what they're doing. Namjoon, who I do hold accountable and I do not like. Um, yeah, so he was the one who was happy to come out and say, like, oh, we thought about Saudi, but
we
we
also thought about
decided
the
to go.
money.
Yeah, pretty much. Like he's the one who defends the Saudi concert. He's the
Mm,
one who's happy to be their spokesperson, and he is the one who is definitely the most complicit with the company because the BTS as a group was built around him. And what's it called? Bang Shi-hyuk has also like said that as well. Whenever he talks about BTS and he tries to he can't decide whether he wants all the credit for himself when he takes all the interviews that people ask for BTS to do.
mm,
But he's like, I am the greatest producer in Korean history, but I am not. Oh, I don't like it when people say I'm BTS's father, but like he tries to play both sides, fucking dumbass.
mm,
Anyway, um, but he basically admits that he built the group around Namjoon because Namjoon was the first member, first trainee, etc. And Namjoon, as anyone who looks at individual sales of BTS member merchandise, people will recognize that he is the least popular member. And OT7s are the ones who will scream and cry and like yell at you if you point this out, because BTS is all important as each other. So he is definitely the one who benefits the most from that OT7 or nothing narrative. And he needs it, because if the other members recognize that they could actually be more successful outside of the group, then he's the one who loses out the most, because he cannot be more successful outside of the group. The group is more successful than him. And that's been proven by his collabs that he tries to do. He is the one that is the most featured on solo collabs or solo work, having mixtapes, having collab efforts, and being featured on other artists' tracks. So if you have a look at but song by an American artist featuring BTS, if it says featuring BTS or featuring a BTS member, he is definitely the one who has the most featurings. So he's allowed to have individual activities. But if you look at Taehyung, who is, as we all know, my favorite member, he gets fucking shit from this company and from this group. So he, on all of the 4 songs that were released as featuring BTS, he has 0 lines in any of those songs. His lines in Make It Right were cut out, which is a shit song, so if anything, that's good. So that shit song written by Ed Sheeran for Make It Right, that they then brought in Love, L-A-U-V, I have no idea how to say his name. They brought in Love for that collab. His lines were cut out. That song Wasted on Me with Steve Aoki, it was marketed as BTS, but it was really just Namjoon and Jungkook. And then there was the recent Savage Love collaboration with Jason Derulo. Taehyung did not have any lines in that song. And there's another one that I don't even care about because, again, Taehyung has no lines. There's now mixtape, and I use that with like air quotes with my fingers. Taehyung is having a mixtape. Mixtapes are shit that rappers do, and an actual rapper mixtape is meant to be like you recording over already existing instrumentals, but like you write your own raps to it. Maybe you might make your own beats as well, like as part of a mixtape. But that's what a mixtape originally was. But now BTS do mixtapes where it's really just a solo album, and there has been literally in words written quotes from Big Hit and Bang Shi-hyuk who have said, oh, we don't like the liability of individual releases, so we release them as mixtapes for free. How the fuck are you going to call the members of the group that has made your entire company liabilities? Liabilities! They are the whole reason you even exist, you fat cunt. Sorry, I should not use fat as an insult. He is just a cunt. Being fat has nothing to do with him being a cunt. So, correcting my own fat phobia. Thank you. That was my own fault. I call myself out. Anyway, continuing on. That stupid bastard is literally sabotaging the more successful members' careers and forcing them to put out free music as a mixtape instead of actually letting the guy release a solo album that would generate millions of dollars for him and his fucked up company, because he is too scared of Taehyung actually realizing how impactful he would be as a solo. Because if he actually put out a proper solo album, had proper promotions the same way that BTS are able to do their own promotions or whatever, if he got to do that, he would probably outsell the whole group. He would at least recognize his potential to be a soloist and have creative control over his music, and he would be gone. He would be bought out by, he would have solo offers from other companies who would be willing to buy out his contract, and he would yeet out of that group so fast because he would recognize he could actually go somewhere else that allows him to have creative control and complete ownership and not have to act in like really shitty CF deals that only accept OT7 or nothing for their magazine. So like the members, and this isn't just Taehyung, it's also like the Magne line, who are the 3 youngest members, Jimin, Taehyung, Jungkook, are all the 3 most popular members. They've all been offered respective contracts. They've been offered like what Blackpink, I guess, does with like, you know, Jennie and Chanel, Rosé and YSL. They've been offered that kind of shit. Big Hit rejects it, tells them, no, you can only have the group or nothing. So this consistent narrative of OT7 or nothing is literally ruining these men's careers, and they've been locked into a contract. So they can't just, you know, chuck a fit and leave. They can't pull a Jessica, because Jessica was the one who was smart enough to force SM's hand and let her go. So it's not as simple as people make it out to be. And there's no way in hell that Big Hit are voluntarily letting any of the members go because it's OT7 or nothing. So if one of those 7 leaves, then it fucks up their own narrative. So Taehyung has been robbed of solo magazine cover shoots. He's been robbed of brand endorsements. He would have been Gucci face because there was he was massively known as being obsessed with Gucci at a point. But Big Hit were the ones who rejected that contract, and then Kai from EXO gets it, and then ARMYs are the ones who goes it should be Taehyung, bitch. Fucking look at your own company who rejected that contract then, instead of blaming the other idol who got the job. Yeah, there's a lot I can fucking rant about with this. And what I will say is I am suspicious on blackmail because I cannot for the life of me understand why anyone would willingly re-sign to a contract this terrible, that is this, awful. But at the end of the day, they are the ones putting pen to paper. So I heavily believe there was a form of blackmail involved with getting members like Taehyung to re-sign his contract. But he not so subtly hints a lot of times in interviews that he is fed up. So there's a clip of him in a V Live when they were talking about oh, what song would you recommend? And then Taehyung recommends a song that's company like family. My family is at home. That's the lyrics of the song. And I'm just yes, King. Yes, speak your truth. So he's being pretty passive aggressive about Big Hit. Meanwhile, Namjoon is absolutely pandering to fans. He does it every speech, and he's very O27 or nothing because he knows that he is nothing without that O27. Mommy's coming. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. The same person who asked you this. It's got to be the same person.
It's got to be.
Has also said this. AustralianSana, I hope you acknowledge that while you accuse the fandom of supporting the company as blind and idiotic, your constant deflection from the reality of BTS, how they came up using connections, lies, and media play, reflects on your own blind loyalty that borders on stupidity. You need to fully wake up.
Does this person clearly not realize that I am the one constantly pointing out these hypocrisies of Big Hit who actually were the ones to market them like this? I will be the first to talk about how Big Hit used to tag their music videos with hashtag Big Bang. If you look at their old music video for, it was I Need You era, I think it was HYYH, they put Big Bang in the tags. So this person thinks that I'm the one deflecting that. I'm the one raising awareness about it to be look at how shit this company is. Look at how stupid the people who blindly defend this group as. Because there's the whole thing about these days, it's multis. If you like more than one group than BTS, then you're a disgusting multi. And it's well, the original fan base that existed before you cunts came along were multis. And that's how BTS even got their career started in the first place. So, it's a hell of a lot more complex than what this individual person seems to think that I am blindly defending. A lot of these points that they're raising, I've been the one responsible for getting it out there in the public, on Twitter at least. And then that's why I'm this social pariah within the fandom, because I try to actually hold them accountable. Oh, bootleg Tata.
Yeah, next question. Have you considered supporting independent business people who make handcrafted BT21 tartars of Etsy?
Oh, that is so cute. I want to buy all of them right now.
Cool. That's that.
They're babies.
Last question. How's COVID-19 in Australia? What do you think about China? Is it a trend to hate China in Australia?
Yeah, for political point scoring, absolutely it is, and especially with our dickhead of a prime minister who's totally fucked up the trade agreements with China. It's absolutely becoming a trend. I think it's a hell of a lot more complex than just China bad, because there are elements of China that are bad, such as the camps that they run with the Uyghur people and a lot of the censorship that goes on over there in Tiananmen Square. So I'm not a blind, China great, Australia bad, yay communism. But it's also there's definite Chinophobia, Sinophobia, however you say that. Oh, the Chinese are coming to take over, and it's there's government issues. You can definitely criticize the government. By all means, let's go ahead and criticize governments. I'm down for that. But when you take that out on individual Chinese people who are just, they've left China, they've come to Australia, why do you think that they're here if they're pro-China? Wouldn't they still be in China? So yeah, don't take it out on individual Chinese people. Take it out on the collective of the government institutions.
Yeah. How's COVID-19 in Australia?
Not bad.
Not bad, honestly. We've
There's mini outbreaks that tend to happen, but as a whole, the country reacts quite well to them.
mm, um,
Like there was a lockdown in Melbourne when there was like 600 cases, and then they kept them locked down for about 5-6 weeks,
mm,
and then it completely erased it,
yeah. So
which was great. But during that process, the opposition government, the Liberal government, who was Australia's equivalent of Republicans, was screaming about like, more freedom, let them out. I can't believe they shut the borders. But then now that an outbreak happened in a Liberal government state in New South Wales, what do? Lock it down.
mm,
So it's like, yeah, you can be cunts to the government that was actually saving people's lives by doing a lockdown. And then now that you've got an outbreak yourself, what do? The same fucking thing they did. Why? Because it works.
mm,
And they do it because either they do the same thing the Labor government did first, or they're the ones responsible for the outbreak in the country.
mm. Yeah. What I think about China, I mean, I'll take China has its faults, but I'll take their soft power colonialism over American colonialism. At
Mm,
least they're not dropping bombs.
yeah,
So I've got to give them that credit. They're,
yeah.
if they just want to, you know, I mean, who knows what will happen in the future, but
Mm,
there's certainly not the hard, aggressive colonialism that we've had with America, just dropping bombs on like dozens of countries, um, and interfering very heavily.
mm,
It's a different sort of interference. I don't know, but I
yeah,
think China's here to stay in some form.
yep.
Um, and no, I don't agree with a lot of the things they do,
There's not going to be a single country that exists where you're going to
but
agree with everything they do either.
but Australia, we have our camps too,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
we can't really take the high ground there.
No,
Um,
for the record, as I think anyone would be easily able to assume, I am against the Australian detention camps.
so does America. They got their camps.
Mm,
So um, yeah, I think there's a lot of racism and a lot of bullshit going
mm-hmm.
down.
Mm-hmm. And it's cheap political point scoring because appealing to the lowest common denominator in this country unfortunately wins elections.
Mm. Anyway, that's all I got. That's the end of the questions.
Oh, how do we do for time? 1 hour 30.
Oh,
Good job.
fantastic. Um,
Under 2.
so yeah, thanks for doing it. Happy Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays,
Yeah.
whatever, Happy New Year, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. And
Have you looked into putting the podcasts on like Apple or Spotify?
no, I've I just started looking into Spotify today because I started looking at this AI bot that apparently
Yeah.
shits on your Spotify playlist, and I thought, well, maybe I should get Spotify and just put some stuff on there to see what I can make it say.
Mm.
And I'm still trying to figure that out, so it'll be a while yet before I start putting audio up on there.
Yeah, I just think it might help increase. Not that I'm like interested in getting a wide user listener base. I'd rather keep us as a niche market. But I think that having an audio only option, like a streaming. So the other one that's also really good is and it's easier to use
mm,
is what's it called? I had the app for it. SoundCloud.
mm. I already have
SoundCloud.
a SoundCloud.
Yeah, so you
Um,
could put the podcast on there. It just means it's less data to stream the podcast because if you're streaming on YouTube, you're actually streaming a file, like an MP4 file, and that takes up way more data. So if we've got like, I think I actually briefly mentioned the podcast to someone once and they were interested in listening, but like if they're on the train or if they're going for a walk, they don't want to have to be running a video. They want to be listening to an actual MP3 file
yeah.
rather than an MP4 video.
Oh, it's something I might do at some point.
It's not like immediately this podcast or I quit. I can't work under these conditions.
But yeah,
Yeah,
it's something
for the new year.
that I should probably do at some point. I should at least try and get it on SoundCloud.
Mm,
Might do it one day.
cool.
We'll see. Anyway, thanks for talking to me.
No problem.
We'll do another one of these. I don't know, sometime next year.
January. Yeah.
Yeah,
Late.
January, February. Just when we've got enough questions, I guess.
Exactly.
So put them in. Remember, people, don't send links.
Yeah, sweet.
Don't send fucking videos.
No, we don't
And
like videos. No videos this time. Good job, people.
Australian
Yeah,
Sana
learn.
doesn't give a fuck about gaming really.
Thank
And
you. Not that I don't give a fuck. I mean, I respect it as a hobby, but I just don't have the emotional capacity to invest in anything
Yeah,
else.
and
Ask me about pro wrestling.
and I
And Rose. There were not enough Rose questions.
there are no Rosa questions. Fix that.
No Rose
Ask
questions.
some
I
pro
don't do
wrestling
Rose.
questions if you want.
Yeah.
And certainly I don't give a rat's ass about Star Wars.
As I think we've
See, we've
established.
established that fucking shit.
But yes, the questions still continue.
Yeah. Or it's being smothered to death by someone's size.
Mm.
You know,
Yes.
you don't give a fuck. Anyway, thanks everyone for listening, and thank you Australian Sana, and I'll talk to you again in 2021.
As always, see ya.
Bye.
Bye.